It's recording. All right. So timing and spacing still. All right. So last time we talked about principles of animation, straight ahead and post to post and straight ahead. So I set the timeline to 24 frames. So that's 23 frames. If we ever need to loop it, it loops at 23 going back to 1. The lines right here is basically just the background. Okay. Fills right here is what we have for the circle, and I have a backup in there in case we lose that or need to recreate it. Okay, so what we'll do first for our timing and spacing for the top one, we'll do constant, okay? And we're gonna do this in straight ahead, so there's no basically telling what our pacing will be or spacing. It'll just kind of get copying it all the way to 24, and then we can go to multi-frame to make adjustments. Okay, so constant speed first. So I'm going to try and make all this movement, spacing equal, but since we are showing the straight ahead principle of animation, we don't know when we're going to hit 24 or be on that exact spot. Okay, so frame 1. Okay, and then we're animating in ones because we are only setting it up for up to 24 frames. So I'm going to go to frame 2 right here. I'm going to move this. Okay. Frame 3. Frame 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. All right, so we can tell right here that I'm not going to make 24 equal distance because we still got more than halfway and I'm already running out of space. Okay, so that's what straight head animation is. It's fluid, it's organic, it's on the go, but there's not much regarding planning if you have a destination. But that's not a big deal because we can easily fix this. All I need to do is complete the animation here, going all the way to frame 24 and increasing our spacing. Okay, so I'm gonna jump to multi-frame. So I'm gonna click on multi-frame here while in edit mode, and I'm gonna select all the frames right here so we could see all those. Okay, the beauty of multi-frame is that we're able to select and jump to any frames without having to switch our timeline. So that's the big difference right there. So here I'm going to be a little bit more conservative with the spacing because this is supposed to be constant speed. So I'm gonna try and position those kind of equal in distance, okay? So I'm kind of looking at that spacing right there. And so far we have up to frame 10. Okay, so I should be frame 12 somewhere in here. So once I move all this back, then I can make adjustments already. So halfway is around right here. So that would be frame 9 right there, and this is frame 10. Okay, I'm going to turn off multi-frame now. We go back to animating, so I'm going to go frame 11. Then frame 12. So, all right, so kind of got there in the center of that. So if I play this, constant speed, all right. So 12, so we go to frame 13. Again, we're going for constant spacing. Okay, 14. And we're using the straight ahead principle of animation as opposed to post to post. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and of course 24 is right here. So I'm going to still need to make adjustments because did not make that all equal in spacing. So we go back to multi-frame. I'm going to press A to select all this, and then here's our spacing issue right here. So I'm going to widen that spacing a little bit more so we can get a constant speed on this. It's going to be a little bit right here, because I think on frame 10 we were, up to frame 11, I think, 12, we were fine with the spacing. Okay, all right, so maybe pull this a little bit more. And I'm just kind of eyeballing this to give it a constant speed. All right, so I go there. One more. All right, so let's see. Turn off multi-frame. It's going to look choppy in Teams right here, but the recording is fairly smooth. Okay, so it needs a little bit more adjustment. It looks like there's quite a bit of gap right here. And in Teams right now, it's super choppy. But don't worry, it'll be in real time once we upload it, okay? So that's, if I go back to multi-frame right here, so a little bit more adjustments. I could see some, they're all kind of bunched up here. But the idea here is, if you want constant speed, you want that kind of going all the same, and it's all in equal distance, okay? So let's go to the next one right here. So I'm gonna go turn off multi-frame. Let's go all the way to frame 1 and deselect. We just want this one right here. Okay, and we want to duplicate this and put it over here. So I'm going to do Shift D, Z. Let's kind of move it down here. All right, so the idea here is we want a slow in and slow out. Okay, slow in and slow out. So frame 1. And if you want it to be slow moving from our last week's lesson, you bunch up the frames. Okay, you really want to make sure that they're all bunched up, and if you want it to go faster, you space it up. Okay, so frame 1, we go to frame 2. Okay, let me click undo on this one, because we have all these frames here already. So I'm going to use my other frames over here. So let me turn this off, turn that back on, okay? Because I don't want the kind of screen kind of convoluted with info right here. So let me make another layer also, so that I can copy this here. Command C, and then go over here, Command V. That way we have another one for the other timing. Okay, so we're gonna go slow in and slow out for this one. So frame 1, we're in edit mode, okay? Then frame 2, if you want it to slow down, you want to move it just the thickness of that one. So very slow movement at the start, okay? Frame 3, we show a little bit of gap between the two. Frame 4, a little bit more. And we can increase our onion skin right here, so we could see one before and one after, okay? Sorry, frame 3, frame 4, frame 5, we are widening the gap. 6, 7, 8, 9, and I think with 9 and then 10, 11, 12, we can actually go a little bit more wide right here. So 10, 11, okay? And then we can jump fairly close right here to the end, okay? So I'm gonna go 12, so it'll be a big jump right here. We can go 13 right here, and then starting to decelerate it. So the spacing is getting tighter. All right, so now if we go multi-frame here, select all this, I can just grab all this part right here and actually move them at the end right there. Okay, so turn off multi-frame. When we see this movement, there you go. All right, slow in and then slow out. All right. The point here is that even with a constant, this is only 1 second frame of animation. So when we show the other one, even though the spacing is different, this is constant versus the other one being slow in and slow out, they still get to the exact same spot at the end. Okay? One is constant speed. The other one has the slow in and slow out principle. Okay? So the last one we're going to do is fast in and then slow it down at the center and then really fast going this way. Okay? So we're going to go here, frame 1. I'm going to deselect. So it'll be a quick movement. So frame 1, it's in place right here. Frame 2, we go right here right away. Okay, so it's a quick take on that one. And then here, we're going to slow it down. So I'm just basically changing the thickness right there. So it slows down a lot. And we're on frame 9 right here. So I'm just going to barely move it right there. So it looks like it's actually stopping in place. Okay, and now it's starting to accelerate a little bit. And we're going to do this until 23, because it just goes to the other side. Then we'll take 24 all the way there. So if we play this one, slows down in the middle, okay, and it moves over there. All right, so we want to make sure the slowdown right here is exactly in the center right here, so we can go multi-frame again. So once we click on multi-frame, select all the frames right here by pressing A, okay, and we can select all the where it slows down right here, and then we can select all this and we can move that. Let me make sure I got all that one. So we want the portion where it slows down a lot. Okay, maybe a little bit more to the right here, but you get the point. Okay, so all the timing here is 1 second. So 24 frames worth of animation, but different spacing, and gives you different look for each one. Okay, so let me kind of show that here. Let me duplicate. Not that one, sorry. Let me go to object mode here. So the same stroke, I'm just going to duplicate it. Let's see here. And then we'll, all right, so we got 3 of them. So this one will show the constant one. And I think that's the constant one right here. All right, that's the one right there. And then for this one here, we're going to show the slow, but we're going to move it down. All right, so there's 2 grease pencil stroke now at work. All right, here, that's the one showing at the bottom. Let's hide that first. Let's see. Should be that one. All right, and then the last one, we're going to be showing that. Oops, sorry. There you go. You can put that in here. All right, so let me just hide all the other stuff and make sure that that's showing. All right. All right, so all the same timing, okay? All 1 second worth of animation, but by simply changing the spacing, you get different look. One is constant, one is slow in, slow out, one is fast in, slow, and then fast out, okay? So that's timing and spacing for you. All right, so let's do the one that's with the homework, but we'll just make it into a single arc, okay? So I'm gonna start a new one right here. Cancel. And we'll just use the default layers right here. So fields will be our background. Okay, and then let's try and do just one kind of bounce right here with our arc. So we'll make that kind of high, and then that one will be, okay, the part where it's losing energy. Okay, so to break down the action right here, we kind of have like an in and out, in and out, in and out, right? So the movement from when it's just falling will be slow, okay? And then before it hits the ground, there's going to be an acceleration here that will be fast. When it hits the ground, bouncing up, that's going to be fast. And then before it could reach the highest point on its diminishing energy right here, it'll start to slow down, okay? So we'll switch to our lines right here, which is going to be where the ball will be. So let me create one, and then we're just going to be using the shape, okay? And I'm going to hold down shift so that we can oh, actually, let me click undo. Let me change my pen. And this is on frame 1 on the lines layer. All right, that should be good enough right there. Press enter, press G, edit mode, press G. We're going to position it right there. Okay, so let's get our timing. So that would be a frame. Let's go with our frame. Let's do 20. Let's go 20 frames on this one. Okay, so our total running time for our animation is 20 frames. Let me just zoom in on this one. We're animating in ones. Let me try to squeeze as many frames here visible on the timeline. Okay, so let's do our pose to pose. So pose to pose simply means you got your major key positions, and then we're going to fill in the in-betweens using the straight ahead method principle. Okay, so we'll go. You want to be on 11 on this one because we are on in 20 and we're starting at 1, but for the sake of simplicity, let's say our midpoint is 10, okay? So on frame 10, I'm going to press G right here, move this, and this is going to be like a ping pong ball, okay? So quite bouncy. No, we don't need to demo the squashing part. And then on frame 20, there it is, okay? So if we're kind of losing energy right here, 20 probably would be a little too much. We want that a little bit shorter. So let's go with 18, okay, for our timing. So I'll take 18 frames to go on that one. Okay, maybe even 17, but that's all right for now. Okay, so slow movement. So if we go to frame 2, we want to make sure this moves just barely, right? We want it slow. So I've seen a lot of mistakes on some of the submission already where there's a lot of constant speed on this one. So they're not putting enough gap right here to accelerate it. But we'll get to that one. So frame 2, we moved that by just a hair right there. Okay. And frame 3, we grow that just a little bit. Let me increase the keyframes before and after for our onion skin so that I could see the gap from previously. Okay, so let's go to frame 4. And I'm just gonna follow kind of like the arc right here. Should have done a better job on that one. So because we don't want to make sure this ball would wobble. All right, so Just a little bit wider than the previous one, and we're on 6 already. I mean 5, so 6. So you can see that's really a slow movement right there. 7, a little bit more gap. 8. Okay. 9. Right there. But as you can see right here, there's a gap between 9 and 10. So this will give us that fast movement right here. So if I play this, okay, slows down a bit, but it's quick right here. So it'll be the same thing now when we go to, let me increase this one to 4x4 so I could see the position and the height of the previous frame. So if I go 10, when we go 11, we want this up. It's fast, but it can't be as high as this because it's diminishing energy now. So it's a little bit lower. Okay. And then here we can go, we can start kind of slowing this down. Okay. We go 13. 14. Okay, 15. Let me go back. I put that a little too high, so I'm going off my arc. Okay, 16. 17. All right, so if we play this, there's that bounce. Okay, I know it's choppy looking probably on Teams, but I can guarantee you that there's a nice bounce right there. And because I'm going to go to multi-frame here to show you, because that's the gap. That's what makes it fast. That's what makes it slow. Okay? So when you bunch it up right here, it slows down. So don't put one right here. I've seen a lot of students, they put a ball right here. That gives it a constant speed. I mean, it's fast, but it's still, it looks like it's pausing. Okay? You want to make sure they have a nice gap right here. All right, so this is for the arc. For the pendulum, it's the same thing. Remember your homework. You need to do it in 5 seconds, and it comes to a full stop at the end. The video only shows you one swing and then the reverse swing, okay? The video only trains you on how to do the swing and slow it down, but the homework requirement is different from the video. So don't follow the video and thinking that that's the submission. No, the submission requires that you animate the pendulum swing in 5 seconds and it comes to a full stop, okay? So it's going to swing for quite a bit because it's 5 seconds, okay? So how do you do the math on that one? You multiply 5 with 24, right? So that's your timing on that one. All right, so one last one, very similar from what we did last, is to do a kind of like a dribbling ball up and down, okay? And then we're going to do the squashing, okay? What's important to the main takeaway for the next one is that when you do squash, you do need time to squash, okay? People think it's just going to happen in one frame. No, it can't happen in one frame because you need to be able to experience the squash, and that eats time, meaning you need timing for that, okay? I mean, we could do it right here, but let's just do the kind of like the ball drop on this one so we get to do another scene. So I'm going to go to the animation here. All right, so we're going to go to the default one. I'm going to use fills right here as our main background. Okay, so I'm just going to use my pen, and we're going to create kind of like the background for it. So I'm just going to draw that line right there. Okay, and then we're going to go to our lines layer. This will be our animation layer. So I'm going to change my pen to the thicker, the pen brush. We're just going to use the circle right here, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I do want to see the top right there. Okay, and oops, undo. I forgot to click it. There you go. So I'm holding down shift so that I get a perfect circle, and let's make it that big right there. All right, we're also going to change this one to let's say 24. so that we can cycle it in 23. It just kind of keeps repeating. Okay, I'm going to position my timeline again so you can maximize and see all the frames. All right, we're going to do our post to post straight ahead principle. Okay, so there's key positions that we can hit right here. This is going to be a soft rubbery ball. Okay, so that's frame 1. All right, so and then to do the timing, if we're just bouncing this, it's on frame 13 right there. That's the midpoint. It's not 12. Okay, but to make it easier to kind of divisible by 2, we're going to put it on 12. Okay, you're not going to see much different on that one frame right there. So I'm going to go frame 12 for our post to post. I'm going to go here, edit mode, move tool while the circle is selected. So our timing would be, it lands perfectly right there on frame 12. And then on frame 24, it goes back up. I can move it up right there and then try to kind of eyeball it perfectly right there. Or we can also grab the key on, let me lock this one, our background, okay? The key for frame 1, we can just shift D, duplicate it, drag the mouse all the way to 24. Then our timing is done. Okay, so it just goes up and down, kind of like so. That's our timing. Now we need to do our spacing. So we know for a fact that this is soft rubbery ball. It needs to squash, so it needs time to do the squashing in and squashing out. We can kind of exaggerate that. We can squash it a little bit more longer. So for this one, let's give it a 4 frames of squashing in and then another 4 frames of squashing out. Okay, so we're gonna go, well, maybe we can go 8. Okay, 8, and then we'll go 16 on that one. All right, so it needs to land on 8. So we're gonna move the timing of 12 where it lands on the ground. Press G right here. I'm going to move it to 8 so it lands early. Okay. However, it needs to stay here. Okay. It needs to stay here because we need to do the squashing out. So on frame 8, we also need to duplicate that and then move that to frame 16 so that when we play this one, it stays from 8 to 16 on the ground to do the squash. Okay, so we have to do 2 animation. One is to drop it, squash it in, then 12 to 16, squash out, and then it goes back up, right? So if we take a look at our, if we remember our first lesson where we slow down the ball with the arc, so the top part, when it's falling, the motion is slow. And then before it hits the ground, it's really fast. It does the squashing, okay, especially with the squash out. That's like a follow-through animation, okay? So it will spring back up all the way up, okay? But this is a bouncing ball without diminishing energy because we're pretending someone's dribbling this ball, okay? Someone is kind of like tapping at the top, and then it bounces up on the exact same energy, and then just so that it's easier to explain that it's a loop animation. Okay, so we need the slow animation for this one. Okay, going down. So let's go to frame 2. All right, so frame 2. Well, let's zoom in on this one. We want this to just barely go out of position right there, so hardly any gap. We go to frame 3. Again, slow. Let me increase my onion skin to 3x3 right here so I could see previously. All right, frame 4. We'll give it a little bit of more gap than the other one. 5, a little bit more. Okay. 6, maybe right there. Okay, and then 7. Okay, and of course 8, it's on the ground already. Okay, so there's the drop right there, slow, and then it just drops. Okay, and we do the exact same thing for, oops, undo. Didn't mean to move that. Meant to move this one. So with 16, okay, we want to kind of bring it back to that kind of height and then kind of repeat all that process. So I will increase my onion skin right here because I do want to see the position because we are trying to mimic it exactly how it was on the other one. So I'm going to go 17 right here. It goes back up right there. Then 18. Let me see here, maybe right there. Well then, and I could also fix this one if I messed up the spacing with multi-frame. Sorry, 20. I'm in 22. Should really zoom in on this one. 23. And then of course there's 24. All right, so that should finish the actual bounce. Okay, so it's slow at the top, fast drop. Okay, now let's perform the squashing. Okay, so nothing on frame 8. Okay, and then frame 12, this is when it's going to be really squashed. All right, so let's exaggerate this. I'm going to go to my scale tool and principles of animation, solid drawing. We just can't squash this from top to bottom like so. Okay, we need to displace the volume going that way. All right, and then finally we're going to position that right here. Okay, if we play this, we can kind of see that it's very crude when it flattens because there is no in between. So this is just a matter of scaling this, starting the scale right there, and then we drop it. Okay, and then on 10 we make the squashing a little bit more. Oh, sorry, gotta grab the right there and a little bit more from that part. And I'm going to drop this. And then 11, whatever's in between this, GZ to put that in there. All right, so let me make sure that I'm actually on the exact same spot at the bottom. I need to lower this because I wasn't zoom in and it's hard to tell. All right, so there's the squashing. So from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, and then from here we can just copy 11, Shift D, and then move it to 13. So it'll just mirror itself. Copy 10, Shift D to 14. When I say copy, I meant duplicate. Okay, so frame 9, Shift D, and then drag your mouse to 15. So we don't have to do it. It's just kind of like a mirror of it going back to a circle. Okay, so once we play this back, all right, so there's that. So we can even exaggerate this one right here. Instead of flattening it equal, we can skew it a little bit so it's going flatter on the ground. It's not the same curvature in there if you want to, but for this demoing purpose, I think that should be enough regarding learning your timing and spacing. Okay, so all right, again, the ball might be a little too small for this action right here, but that's part of exaggeration. Okay, as soon as you define whatever the ball or the object would be, then you imagine a little bit of physics in there. It is animation after all, so Wile E. Coyote and Acme explosion, anvil falling on character's head, all that jazz. You do have quite a bit of leeway regarding how cartoony or stretchy you need to be. All right, so an exaggeration that we can add here that's actually quite missing would be probably on frame 7. Okay, we could start lowering this if we want to. Okay, so frame 7. We can lower that right here. Okay, and then add a squashing to it so that it's starting to elongate. Okay, part of exaggeration. So if we play that, all right, I know it's choppy right there, but you can tell right now that it's starting to droop. 6, 7. Okay, we could even go as far as going to numbers. Frame 6 right here. Lower this just a bit so it starts joining in, and we could start the exaggeration here. Okay, we could squeeze it like so, just a little bit, starting to elongate it. Okay, all right, so now if we do that, and when it lands on 8, there's several thoughts of animation right here. Sometimes they don't even want to see the impact right there. Okay, some animators, they don't want the ball right there even touching the ground because they want that speed right there. But for the purpose of demoing and adding exaggeration, let's add it in there. So 8, we would now elongate that and then make it a lot thinner. Okay, and then bring it up here. This gives it a different look, more rubbery, more stretchy. Okay, 7, we might need to move that up a little bit because we don't want that as equal constant speed. We want a little bit separation to give it that fast drop right there. So now it has a different look. Okay, and we just have to mimic that because it's a loop animation. So our 6 that would have an equivalent on the other side. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. So it starts right here, where we can start changing this one. Okay, we would exaggerate that a little bit more. Then 18, drop that in here. And that doesn't have to be equal. As you can see here, I did not, well, 19, sorry, needs to be wider. 18, not as wide, but longer. Okay, we'll drop that a little bit right here. Then 17, this is the really exaggerated one. And go a little too crazy with this. Oops. Okay, and then on 16 right here, let's say we go really stretch on this one, really thin, and land it. Let's see. So it squashes. So let's say the bounce was too much and it's accelerating going up. All right, so there's that very cartoony look now, and that's just adding the principles of animation, exaggeration. So it gave it a little bit more personality, a little bit more energy going up. Okay, and if I go multi-frame here, just to show you all the frames. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so the on its way up is more exaggerated. So that's the frame right there. That's on 17. Okay, so it's not as elongated on the way down, but it's much stretched on the way up. Okay, and this is the look that you get by simply varying the timing and spacing, slow it down at the top, but the exaggeration principle gives the ball a little bit more personality. Okay, the ball looks thicker right here because when I scaled it, that's just the nature of the stroke, because it's coming from the available shape. So if you want this to be the same thickness as the other one, you're going to have to sculpt this and then make it thinner. Okay, we can go to the thinner thickness by holding down control. It does the reverse. Okay, but you don't have to do any of that. We're just kind of practicing the motion. Okay.